We are live.
Yes, sir.
Not live really, we are recording, but yeah, you get the idea. This is a bit like awkward and jarring and probably is gonna be like funny the first time. But we're gonna try anyway.
Yes.
Okay guys, so like this is our way to maybe to try keep Vine going. You know, I know that on these like very difficult times, like it's good to have a break from all the like viruses, like news and so on. So it's good to have something else like to talk about. And like the idea is that we keep Vine going like somehow, you know. So we had this idea of like doing these small like quick conversations, and the idea is that we are gonna meet and later to talk about it and to discuss it, and hopefully like by doing that we are gonna achieve not only like the spiritual side of it, that is like learning more about Jesus, but also like the social side of it. So yeah. I just think that like a community has to keep going and strong and
Definitely.
yeah. So today this is the first time that we are doing. So we're as I said, we're figuring out how to do it. And you're gonna talk about like a thing that I think is very like common and popular in our church, especially like on Sean's sermons.
Yeah, man, that's a hard one to say.
Yeah, hard one. Which is the theme of like becoming more like Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and Matt, like I don't know how it was for you, but when I first joined the church, our church, I kind of that felt super abstract for me. You know, even though like I grew up in church, you know, and I kind of knew like, you know, oh, if you're a good boy, you know, you're gonna get there, Jesus is gonna love you, and that's it. You know.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, like I started hearing those things about like, you know, becoming more like Christ, you know, and you being saved by faith and not by like following rules, you know, and for me, it was a little bit, it was a little bit abstract, you know, like how do I act on that? Like how do I like bring this to my day-to-day life? You know, how does this look like? This life looks like, you know, of becoming more like Jesus. Like how do you feel? Like how do you see that?
Yeah, totally. I agree. It's a very abstract topic to think like you should become more like some invisible being that is godly and perfect. But I do think it's an important topic to talk about because we are called to do this. The Bible tells us to do that. Let me put a little example here, and like a practical example or an illustration here. Just to,
I love those.
To give this, to give it a little bit of a thought. What we could understand about this. Imagine when you were a kid. And, you know, you were going through a lot of clothes, especially growing up from being a kid to becoming a teenager. You're growing, especially Jay probably grew like really fast, really high. I'm a bit shorter, like, but...
Yeah, I there was 1 year that I grew like 1 centimeter per month. Like, it's crazy, man.
Oh.
That's crazy.
Oh, man, yeah. No,
so I lost a lot of clothes that year.
When I was a teenager, I wish that would have happened to me. Now I'm kind of okay. But anyway, like imagine this time when you were, you know, growing out of your clothes really quickly. But I remember when I was a kid, I had this amazing jumper that I loved. I really liked it. It was cool. People gave me compliments, and you know I felt really comfortable in it. You know, when you're wearing the same clothes over and over again, they start getting more and more comfortable. But then the moment comes when you have to grow up, or when you are growing up, and you cannot stay the same height or the same kid. And your mother tells you, you know, you have to get rid of this because it's getting too small for you. You don't fit into this anymore.
Yeah, why, Mom? I love this.
Yes. Yeah. So in this sense, we have to, you know, take off these clothes in order for us to put a new jumper that we get or buy to keep going on. And actually, when we look at the Bible tells something like this. It says in Ephesians 4. It says, throw off your old sinful nature and your former way of life, which is corrupted by lust and deception. Instead, let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes. Put on your new nature, created to be like God, truly righteous and holy.
Wow, and I think that's super powerful. Like this verse in Ephesians, but like I still like struggle with the fact like how what does that mean for us, you know? Because I think I love your illustration. Like it really makes me see like this thing of like the clothes and associated with like identity and so on. But like how does like our way of living, you know, like compares with like clothing, you know? Because like clothing is just a thing that you put on and take off, you know, like I can like, you know, if I go to a business meeting, I put something, you know, and if I go like to the beach, I wear something different, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel there's a little bit like more nuanced or complicated than that.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's an illustration, but it does make sense in some way. Like if we look at verse 23 in Ephesians 4, we get an idea of what the writer means by former way of life. Now, of course, it doesn't mean exactly clothes, but he's talking about putting on something and throwing off something else. In verse 23, however, he's saying he's talking about our bad thoughts, or habits, or attitudes that we need to throw off, like prideful thoughts or feelings of low value, snappy comments that we later regret, wrong words that might hurt someone.
Who never?
Who never, right? Grumpy attitudes when we're stressed or tired, rather than trying to smile. You know, other people are not at fault for the way we feel. Or feeling sorry for myself for everything that I don't have or cannot do, rather than being thankful for what I actually can do. So imagine now all of these bad thoughts could be somehow contained into a piece of clothing. Let's say let's call this clothing a bad habit jacket, right? Would it not be amazing if you could just take this jacket off, because it doesn't suit you anymore? This is not who you are anymore. So you take off this jacket, you throw it in the bin, or you know, don't give it to charity. It's not good.
it's a bad,
throw it away and put on a new jacket. A truly righteous and holy jacket, like the verse says, that allows us then to be like more patient with ourselves or with others, feel good about our natural self, but also value and think of others first, be free of grumpy attitudes and bad tempers, always thinking of the good in the situations. Imagine if this was your daily thoughts all the time. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
The fact is that the verse that we just read before is calling us to make a decision.
Okay.
It's calling us to do something. It requires an action, not just a wish for us to make room for new. So we need to actually take off the jacket before we put on something new.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. That's really good. Okay, I'm gonna play like the devil's advocate here, right?
Go ahead.
Like because, I feel like that's like this is not possible, right? Like because like our bad habits and like I have a few, like I struggle with some things like God helped me like to get rid of. I still have stuff like that I need to improve, you know, and. For me, from my personal experience, it's not really like that magical, like just taking off, you know, or just I'm deciding to, you know, be nice to everyone, you know. Some days I just don't feel like it. You know?
Yeah. No.
And a lot of people can say, you know, I've walked with Jesus for a long time, you know, and like this never happened. I never like this. Always this thing that I can't change, you know, doesn't seem to go away, never, you know.
Yeah.
Like, how would you like deal with that? How would you answer that?
Well, I would say, yeah, you're right. It's not just magically gonna happen, but we need to ask ourselves then how. Like, how does it happen?
Okay.
And the answer would be, it's done by actively and intentionally letting go of the things that make us stay stuck, and let God speak to us and into our lives.
Okay.
This is where it starts to get interesting, because we read later, actually, in the letter to the Ephesians, in Ephesians 5, we read, imitate God in everything you do, because you are His dear children. Live a life filled with love, following the example of Jesus. And here Paul is talking about imitating, or pretending to follow the example of Jesus. Pretending to be like Jesus until we actually become Jesus. Let me make a little example here. For example, when you are imagining a parent with their child, with a little baby or a little toddler, you would explain everything that you are doing, everything that the kid is supposed to do or not do. You will tell him, don't do that, do this, or I'm gonna change your clothes now, or I'm putting on new socks. And the kid might not be understanding that yet, but you are treating the kid or the baby as if it was already understanding what you're saying until it actually understands what you're saying.
Okay.
And starts making sense of this.
Okay.
And I was reading a book called Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. And C.S. Lewis is talking about the topic. And he's calling it pretending. As we were saying before. He's talking about pretending in two different types. One is the good type and one is the bad type. There's the bad type that is the pretending that is not actually the real thing. So for example, if you are going to pretend to help somebody, but then you never show up, or you show up but you don't actually do anything, you just wanted to show that you're gonna help.
Okay. Okay. Oh, like that time that I asked you to help me move houses. I'm joking.
Come on, I showed up.
Matt really helped me. Like he wasn't pretending.
Oh man.
Okay, but I think I get what you're saying. So
Yeah.
what Paul was saying before is that like we try following Jesus' steps.
Yes.
We are kind of pretending to be like him.
Yes.
And like trying to imitate whatever he's doing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. See, I like I said, there's different types of pretending. One is what I just explained.
Okay.
Something that...
Which is that they're not what we are supposed to do.
No.
Like not.
No.
You say that you're gonna do it, but I don't
No.
really want to. Okay.
You don't really want to do it.
Okay.
The second thing is the pretending that will actually lead to becoming the real thing. Okay. So for example, you go to a party and you're in a bad mood, so you don't really want to talk to anybody, but you are like, well, I gotta be, friendly because that's what you do, and you should be friendly to people. So you start acting friendly, you start talking to people until actually at some point you are becoming friendly at that party. And maybe you even have some fun. So this is the two types that we have. One is pretending that turns out to not become anything, and the other one that actually we become more like what we are pretending to be.
Okay.
And the difference in those two things is just the intentionality in our mind.
That's what I was going to ask you, like, because those two things are pretending, right? Like one you pretend that you want to help, but you don't really like help.
Yeah.
And the other one is like you pretend to be something because you want, like. How is this different? Because someone could say that, you're just being fake,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and it's a good question. Like I said, the big difference would be your intentionality.
Okay.
And you will need to understand that, for example, you want to become more like this. So you're gonna act on that intentionally to actually become more like this. And as you go along, maybe it will get easier for you to pretend because we are, getting used to the habit.
Okay. So it's in a way it's like building a habit, like going to the gym.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, trying to like eat healthy and things like that.
Yeah. It definitely is. Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like you start behaving like you have that already, like because like you see people that go to the gym like 3 years or 5 years, and they almost can't not go anymore, right? So you kind of like behave like you are that person until you actually like become that person. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Okay. Like you would go to the gym, and if you go only once a month, you're not gonna go anywhere. So if you want to pretend to be this gym rat, you better go because then you will see some results.
Yeah. So it's like starting behaving like a gym rat, basically.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. According to Ephesians 5, actually, we were reading before, we are supposed to be imitating Christ or Jesus in order for us to experience a life full of love. That's what it says. So by pretending to be more like Jesus, we will be able to become more like him. Jesus' love. So we will become more like him.
Okay.
And one of the things that struck me a lot from the book as well is when he says that, we serve a God that actually created life. He is the author of life. So there's no doubt about the fact that he knows best how actually life should be lived. So why not follow his example and pretend more to be like him in order for us to experience more of that life that he has planned for us?
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, man, like that's super powerful. Like in the end of the day, like God is this author of life, this almighty, super powerful being. And
Yeah.
he kind of knows a thing or two about like living life the best way.
Yeah, he does. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So just to bring this back to what we were talking before. So imagine this as a 2-part decision. You have to make a decision, but it has 2 parts. One, the first part would be to intentionally allow the Holy Spirit to actually work in you and change you.
Okay.
The second thing would be for you to actively take action onto what the Holy Spirit is telling you.
Okay.
Because as followers of Jesus, we are given the Holy Spirit. Once we accept Jesus, we are given the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is a person that is always with us, reminding us of what is right or wrong. So for us Christians, there is a difference between just asking your conscience what is right or wrong and between listening to what actually the Holy Spirit might be telling you in this way. And to remember that we are always dressed up as Jesus.
Okay, so what you're saying then is that the Holy Spirit actually is gonna tell me somehow what to do, like how to behave. So I don't know, on those moments, that like we get on that decision, what should I do, or how to react. So the Holy Spirit is gonna start putting things in my mind. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like, don't get me wrong. I know I've been in church for many years, and some people always over spiritualize this part where they're like, it needs to be like, I don't know, this shiny cloud coming down, and God is speaking real words right into your ear for you to hear what you're supposed to do. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe that the Holy Spirit is speaking into our minds. So you will suddenly realize, as we are pretending and doing this and praying and asking God for guidance, we're gonna realize that there are thoughts there in your mind that you didn't have before. For example, suddenly you might think, don't do that, so don't do it. Or you might think, man, I should do that, so then go after it, do it. Like one of the best examples that I can think of is when we are caught off guard, right? And then we react bad. And we use the excuse, we say, I didn't have time to think what I was going to say or what I was going to do, right?
I was in a bad mood.
Yeah, I was in a bad mood. But the truth is that the way we react immediately is actually showing our true character. It's showing our true self. When we drive or cycle or are on public transport, or there's some weird person that we don't know or don't like doing something that we don't agree with, or at work, taking criticism.
Okay, I think what you're saying then, it kind of reminds me what Jesus said, like about like adultery or about like murder, because he says, the law says that if you commit adultery or if you kill someone, you deserve to be punished. But I say that if you think about doing any of those things like this, you already did it. You're already like guilty. So that's what you're saying. Like this first like reaction, this even like Jesus brings to the thought level, which is I think is a very like high bar. You know?
Yeah.
But you're saying like if you just think about it, you're already like about doing it. You're already like guilty, in that sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's where the goal is, where we are supposed to go. And yes, we are not perfect, but we have to remember we are growing up.
Okay.
We don't want to stay where we were before. We always want to grow up, be more mature. So the same way, we are not babies anymore in our lives. We are also not babies anymore in our faith. We want to grow up. And this includes us pretending or acting the way Jesus did, so that we get to this place that you were just describing.
Yeah. So you when you say, just to recap then, when you say like pretending, it should be to have that intention of, okay, I want to become more like Jesus. I know I'm not there yet. I know when people do stupid things in the traffic, I get mad.
Yeah, exactly. And this is exactly what I mean. So, for example, when you're driving or when you're cycling and then somebody cuts in front of you, what do? Like, does your mind tell you, this guy, or does your mind tell you, just stay calm,
bless that guy,
maybe bless the guy. You know, just maybe for some people, for me, I speak as I think, right? So for me, it's take a breath and wait before I say something.
And this wait for the rage to die out.
Not necessarily the rage. Like at the end, you don't want to feel the rage anymore.
Yeah,
but you want to come to that place. So you need to get there slowly. You cannot. Like we were saying, it doesn't magically happen. It's something that you're training, right?
So it's that level of like you don't even feel offended anymore. Like
that's where we want to go.
Going back to this traffic example, like
that's
you don't
where
even
we
like care anymore. Like the guy just that's life, I guess.
That's where we want to go. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, we want to come to the place where our pretending becomes reality, right? This is where we want to come. And this means, just to sum this up a little bit, this means that it means more than just reading what Jesus says or putting that into practice. It's thinking about Jesus, the person Jesus, being with you at all times, sitting next to you, talking to you as you are praying, brushing your teeth, going to bed, standing up in the morning, whatever you're doing, right? He's always there next to you, talking to you. And his intention is for you to get rid of your old self, for him to put his life that he has for you onto you. That is your true self. Okay, so this is where we want that. And God's plan for us is not necessarily what we do, it's more about who we are. This is always his intention. He wants to work on who we are rather than just what we are doing. But what we are doing reflects on who we are. So they belong together in a sense, if that makes sense too.
Okay. Wow, man, that's super powerful. That thing of like Jesus replacing, because I think that's what needs to happen. Like you need to be a different person. Like there's no other way, you know. The person that I am today will still get pissed when something happens in traffic, you know.
Yeah.
So it needs to be someone else, and I think that idea of like Jesus replacing like who I am for him. Now this makes sense. So this is what we are after. Like it's not just trying to be good boys like or girls.
Yeah,
but
it's
being someone completely different.
Yeah. I wanna close with a quote from the book that I really liked, and it goes back into kind of what I was saying before about the looking at the baby and talking to the baby until it actually understands what you're saying. And C.S. Lewis puts it like that. He says, God looks at us and sees in us a self-centered, grumbling human before him, but he says to himself, let's pretend that this is not just a human, but our son. To pretend what it is not until it can actually become a reality. Wow. Yeah, I really like this.
Yeah, wow, that's super powerful.
Yeah.
Man, that's super powerful. And thank you. I think that's really like helpful, you know, because now I think it becomes clearer, like for me, like how this journey looks like. You know, it's not me trying to do something, but it's more like allowing God like replace these like bad habits, like this like being a new creature now makes like more sense. Like
man. Yeah, definitely.
Like replacing that like grumpy old self by a super powerful like
amen to that
nature of Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, man. That was really helpful.
Sure.
Yeah. Cool. So so I think now what's gonna happen? Like we just had this like lovely discussion and it was really good. Now we are gonna meet with like everybody and now as a group we're gonna talk about this conversation. And hopefully, like God is gonna bring even more like of this revelation to us.
Yeah, man, definitely. Cool. Can't wait to share and to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
Cool. Thank you, man.
Cool.
I think that was a great first time, first experiment. I hope we get better at this. But man, I really love I love to talk about these subjects and then these discussions. I think they're super helpful when you actually speak, and you talk about it, you know, and you have this conversation. I think it makes more sense. It becomes more real, I feel.
Yeah, man. Very good.
Cool, man. Thank you very much, Matt.
Thank you, Jay.
So, yeah, see you next time.
See ya.
Cool.